Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes I remember things related to your ADHD, and sometimes it's just a blur because you were a bit of a blur growing up.
Where am I? Over there. Oh my God. I'm everywhere. Oh, look, there's a weird smell coming out from that person. And oh my gosh, like I could not sit still. It's like a spring that needs to be sprung.
Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to Sisters.
Sisters.
There were never such devoted
Sisters. Hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm always happy to be here with you too.
Aw, that's sweet. That
Yeah.
makes me feel all heart emoji or something inside. Okay, usually we talk a little bit about your neurospicy brain, your
That's right.
neurodivergent, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but we like to call distinction. And I usually bring up some sort of memory or topic, and then we talk about that a little bit, and then we really get into digging into your brain as to how that all works, if we can, right?
Yes.
Sometimes that's easier than other times, right? And then we look at usually strategies you're working on or thinking about potentially. And then we like to do a shout out to our community to find out what other things they're thinking about or what other strategies they might have. So today I'm remembering very distinctly something. You know, sometimes I remember things related to your ADHD and sometimes it's just a blur because you were a bit of a blur growing up.
Where am I? Over there. Oh my God. I'm everywhere.
So true. Today, I want you to think back about, we grew up Catholic, right? I want you to think about being in church in the pew and having to listen to the priest. And I want you just to walk us through little Rosie, maybe 5 or 6. What would be happening, little Rosie, while you were sitting in that pew listening? Do you remember?
I could not sit still. I know I was supposed to. I know I was supposed to be a good kid and sit.
Yeah.
But I just, like, my legs would go crazy and I'd be fidgeting in the pew, and then it would make creaking noises.
But
and
all like the wooden pews, yes.
Yes, and I just couldn't. I'd be looking at every single person, like, oh my God. I'd be staring at them and seeing what they were wearing and cataloging it, and then you're like, oh, look, there's like a candle and it's flickering, and oh, look, there's a weird smell coming out from that person, and oh my gosh, like I could not sit still.
No, and I'm going to even go one further than this, which is that you changed levels. So I have a very vivid memory of you. We couldn't figure out where you had gone, and you were underneath the pew, crawling underneath it, and you ended up like at a completely different family's place when you popped up, and they were like, oh my gosh,
Hello.
And I just remember every time it was like you were tapping on my hand, or you were crawling up on top of me, or you were trying to get into mom's purse because she would bring little snacks like Cheerios and stuff for you so that you could kind of have a little bit of a distraction, I think, and something to eat. And so I really am curious. This, I cannot imagine, was only a church thing.
Oh no.
Like right now, we are on this podcast, and what does your body want to do that it is not doing, that you're telling it not to do?
It wants to move so much.
Okay, can you just do that for us? Do you mind? Do you mind just doing what your body is asking of you right now?
Okay, because if I do, then like I make noises
It's okay.
with like my chair.
Just for a minute. Just do it. Okay, if you're watching this, she's like hopping up into her chair. She's moving her chair around. She's wiggling her butt. She's got, now she's touching her hair. Now she moved her hand out. Okay, it's like a play-by-play. It's like a sporting event. It's an ADHD sporting event.
That's right. That's right.
And now you're like moving your hands to the side. Like you're a cheerleader. Like you're cheering on the crowd. Okay, now would you just do this throughout the whole podcast if allowed?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so obviously due to the fact that I don't want to get motion sickness, and also that we have sound issues when we do that.
Yeah, we don't have the setup yet. Maybe someday if we get, a fancy microphone
Oh.
and we have like carpet.
ADHD approved scenario for
Yeah.
podcasting.
Yeah,
I
we
love
definitely
that.
need an ADHD approved for sure.
Okay,
This is
okay,
not
I-
ADHD approved yet.
Not yet. Okay, so we got to work on that. So I want to really dig into that brain of yours. What is happening? And I don't know exactly how to ask this question, so I'm going to put it out there as best I can, and then maybe we can iterate on it. Okay, what I want to know is right now I can see you moving because your little earbud thing that we have hardwired in, because you made me do hardwired and not, it's moving a
Right.
little bit because I can tell you must be tapping something. Or tapping, I don't know. There's something happening. There's a little bit of motion. And
Yeah, I'm moving my legs back and forth for sure.
moving your legs back and forth. Like, I want you just to full stop. Like, just be as still as you can. And now, what is happening? You couldn't even do it. Okay, you didn't even stop for a second. I want 2 seconds of full stop.
Okay,
Right?
hold on. I gotta prepare myself. Hold
Okay,
on.
okay,
I'm
okay.
not prepared.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Ready,
I need
set.
to, no, you can't.
No.
You can't tell me when because it's
Okay.
worse. I have to. It has to be on my own terms, Michelle. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay. Okay.
Okay, she's totally still and she looks like very angry almost. But okay, what happened right then? As you are quieting your body, like what's going on in your brain or might be going on in your brain?
Oh man, I wish I had known that before, and I would have thought about it. So first of all,
Yeah.
let's go back to the fact that you're like, what movements do you want to do?
Yeah.
And as soon as I did those movements, it was hard to stop doing them. So I'm, moving around and then I couldn't stop moving my legs, right? So
I
we'd had all
see.
this energy and then it was like, okay, this actually feels really good. I figured if I shake my legs a little bit, then I can kind of get away with it where I'm not making too much noise. Every once in a while, a little creak, but I can still keep myself a little preoccupied. But then my attention was completely, like you were talking and I was like, doe in headlights. What is she saying?
So as soon as you
Hopefully
started
she'll
moving,
remind me.
as soon as you
Yeah.
started moving, you lost your attention. for what I was saying.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I
and
could
that's
not
because,
keep track.
Because you were feeling all the things, the sensory piece was taking over.
I think I'm imagining my brain right now. And it's sort of like a conductor. And we jumped to a different track. We were on a track talking. And so I was like, okay, I'm focused on that. But then as soon as I started moving, then it's like we switched tracks and there's another track that you're talking, but I'm like, bye.
And you're like literally like going back, like you're like a balloon going
Yeah.
off into the air.
like, bye-bye. Just...
Yeah. Okay.
And I could feel it. I felt it right away. And then all of this energy started surging in my body. And it was almost like my brain shut off a little bit. The cognitive part. Well, not the whatever it is.
The thinking part where you're really processing thoughts. Okay. So it
Yeah.
it sounds like it almost is like a switch, and it switched into sort of the muscular part of sending signals, and you weren't able to do both at the same time.
Yeah, when I did full blown movement. Yes.
Movement.
Because even right now, I was moving a little bit and I just hesitated because I was moving and I couldn't think about what I wanted to say next.
Ah, so
It's
it's almost
challenging.
like you're saying a track, almost like a record. It's like you're going to a new song, you're going to a whole different groove.
It's like multitasking in a way where the amount of energy it takes for my brain to move is a lot. But then, actually, I don't know. How do I describe this? Let me think about it for a second. Right now, I'm thinking, and it's much easier for me to move my legs so I can think.
But talking and moving is hard. Or thinking, talking, moving.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because I start talking and my legs stopped. So talking and moving at the same time are really difficult. Doing pretty much anything while having to listen to somebody is really hard. I cannot tell you the number of times that someone would have a TV on in the background. And if TV or music or anything with lyrics is on in the background, I cannot hear what people are saying.
I have
I
that
cannot
too.
process it.
I can't tune that out. Like other people seem to be able to tune it out. I can't do that very well.
Yeah.
I'll tell people like I need to turn this down or I have to change location or something. That's interesting. So
But then it's almost like my entire body is a TV tuner. Because
say more about that, would you? Your entire body is a TV tuner. Okay.
well, because I've got the one leg going, and so like that's one channel, and I've got my lower back pain, and that's another channel. I have all these different channels that can distract me while I'm talking to people. Because I'm feeling and I'm sensing my way through the world. And so all of these sensorial things become in an, like whatever the analogy or whatever the thing is. And I never use the right term, but it becomes a television channel for me. It becomes like a distraction.
You're almost like seeing your leg moving. Not really, but that's what you mean is that there's like there's like the home shopping network and like you're like watching multiple channels at once almost, it seems like.
Yeah, kind of. It's hard. This one's really hard to explain.
Okay, let's come back to that because I think maybe if we go around it, we might get to it a little more. What does it feel like when you had to be still?
It feels suffocating. I almost feel like the first word that comes to mind is dead. I feel just stuck and I don't feel like I literally have to spend every ounce of my energy making myself still. Like I told you, I'm like, I can't do it on whim. I have to like focus and I have to really prepare myself that this is going to happen and just get out whatever little things you need to get out right now. And then we'll see how it goes.
So it's anxiety producing, it sounds like.
Oh, 100%. Especially if it's on somebody else's terms. 100%.
Because you don't know if you can make yourself do it.
Right.
Interesting.
And how long can I do it for? And then also have to attend while sitting still. So if like I'm using every ounce of my energy to sit still, then I'm not using any of the energy to listen. Actually, sorry, I don't have any energy left over to listen.
Interesting. Because we had talked about energy, and I guess I didn't really think of it. Seems to keep coming back to energy almost in some sense, right? Like this idea that your leg is moving. Mm-hmm. Is giving you energy, but it's also taking your attention away.
It's
Is that
kind
right?
of like, well, it's kind of like a lightning rod. So this little leg movement right now that I'm doing is honing in the energy, but it can also become too distracting after a while, right? So there's certain times where it kind of helps to propel me into a moment, but then after a while, it can distract me.
Okay, so it can also short circuit you.
Yeah.
So it's a balance.
I think that's why I'm moving so much, right? So like I'm moving my arms.
The motion in your legs, like you were saying, is sort of like a little lightning rod of harnessing your energy in some way, but you can't stay on any one motion maybe too long or it can be distracting.
I'm listening to you right now and my leg is going. Right? It's kind of just wobbling a little bit back and forth. And then as soon as I start talking, like I have to scratch my neck or I have to move my shoulder or my head. Then my foot might move a little bit, but it's not just like the same repetitive thing. It's like a whole bunch of different motions.
So when you said the conductor, your brain is the conductor of your energy, you're conducting it through these motions in some sense too.
Yeah. Maybe in a way I actually meant in an orchestra conductor.
Yeah.
Because there's all these different instruments that it's moving. And so, okay, hey, let's bring in the woodwinds right now. And okay, now let's bring in some of the brass. And all right, percussion, you're up. And then like, oh, sometimes there's both of them are going. Like right now, my leg and my arm are going. Oh my gosh, so.
Does it act like white noise or pink noise or something almost weirdly?
It might, yeah. Like just having other stimulus. Like right now I have this like little, I don't know, nail thing and I'm tapping my leg with it because it's providing some sort of a stimulation for me that's different than where I'm currently at. So I can kind of focus that energy. Like that's why I think it's kind of like a lightning rod, but then it also can be like lightning and just distract me.
Right.
So it's like
stop your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one.
And I feel like this is one that when we think about it, is one of the least socially acceptable ones. There's a couple others that I think come to mind, but this one is definitely one that's so visible. As invisible as what you deal with is, this one is very visible.
Yeah. This
So-
one you kind of can't hide.
Right. And not everyone who has ADD has a hyper activity component to it.
Right.
But I do think that for those that do, and for women, oftentimes it's not as common. I don't know that that's actually true, but they said at some point that mostly this happened for you weren't allowed to have it originally, right? As a female.
Yeah. Women had to learn how to mask it. And you were trained at a very young age to sit still and be subservient. And, you know, you weren't out there playing with the boys. The boys got to play, and then you could see it really easily in how they played. And since the girls had to be doing quiet things, unless you were just undeniable like me, you tick off every single one of the symptoms, Megan. Hate to break it to you. If you only have a few symptoms, or I mean, it's really easy to be masked. Like we were talking to a new viewer on YouTube. Her name is Shelly, and she's from Michigan. And she was saying that I think she's 62 or 63, and she wasn't diagnosed until she was 59. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. To
And
not
it's like,
know.
yeah, it makes absolute sense that, you know, you just like you were told that as a female that this wouldn't happen to you. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. There, I said it.
You said it out loud. Yeah, you did. You know, I'm thinking about you developmentally through the stages of your life, and I feel like you figured out how to mask it pretty well, I would say, over time. But what strategies were you using? Like when you were in little kid school, you know, you were middle school, what were you doing to help yourself mask it? And then as you got older, what might you have done?
I had zero help at masking it when I was in grade school.
So you were just that kid.
That's why I had no friends. I mean, you know, I only had two friends, and we were all the oddballs,
Right.
and the outcasts. And so I had no capability of masking it. When I got to middle school,
Can I stop you for a second? What might that have looked like in class? What would we have been observing?
Probably just not being able to sit still in my chair and just moving around as much as I am right now. I mean, but even more so.
Kind of like rocking and things that people might have assumed meant there was some...
Yeah, like where like people call it stemming, you know, where they're doing something to self-soothe. But I was always looking different places. I wasn't like looking where I was supposed to be looking. I wasn't good at group projects. I'd always forget.
Yeah.
I think, though, that more of it came out in recess and interacting with other kids, because that's where it was hard. And I just didn't, you know, I didn't know how to listen very well. I mean, that's taken a long time to calm down enough to actually listen. But I also would say anything that popped into my head, and I didn't know that was not socially acceptable. You know, I remember you and we went on a trip up the Highway 1.
Yeah.
And we were in some little cafe somewhere, and you were having a chocolate croissant before you could eat gluten.
God, I've missed those. Those were so good. Yes.
So you were having one, you had some chocolate on your face. And so I was like, Michelle, you got some chocolate on your face. And I must have said it loud as well.
It was very loud.
And you corrected me. And I didn't understand like what the big deal was. And you're like, Megan, you know, this is like what girls do. This is girl code. I'm like, what do you mean girl code? What's this girl code crap?
How come nobody told me about this?
Yeah, I was so upset. I'm like, why did no one tell me about girl code? And you're like, well, you just know. And I was like, I didn't. Why did no one tell me?
I remember saying, just take your finger to the part of my mouth that needs to be done and just point to it. That'll let me know. You can give me a visual cue. And you do that now forever since. That's the greatest thing about you is once you learn something like that, you don't forget it.
But can I also tell you though, sometimes I do it and you don't recognize it. I'm like, Michelle. I'm like, Michelle. I'm like looking at you. I'm like, because it's too subtle. I'm like, if something's in my face, like I just want someone to tell me because I don't have enough.
I think I'm now it's not as big a deal, but you know, when you were in your 20s or something, or you know, your teens and you're trying to be cool or whatever. But it's so funny. Yeah, I remember telling you that, and it was like this. And the whole rest of the trip, you're like, what other codes don't I know?
I'm like,
oh I can't give you. I don't know. It's just things you learn, but you didn't know.
Well, like you're not supposed to say your real feelings about a guy that someone's dating or a girl that someone's dating, and I was like, why? That's dumb. Like, shouldn't you tell them how you really feel? No. I was like, oh my God. So you're just supposed to hide yourself the entire time? That just seems stupid. I think that all of the ADHD stuff came out. And I also was just like really eager. So I think that that's another part, like where they prey on you a little bit because they know how eager you are. And so I was just like super excited to do whatever we wanted to do. Let's get out and move, people. And they're like, you're weird. I don't understand you. And oh God, I had a girl. Okay, I seriously had a girl in high school because we went to a Catholic grade school. I moved over to public school for a while, which I loved. And then we went to a Catholic high school. And I think it was like one of those retreats, like sophomore or junior retreat. And this girl says to me, she's, you know what's so funny, Megan? The things that made you super weird in grade school is what makes you so cool today. And I was like,
Were you like,
thanks?
thanks? I'm not sure about that one.
I'm not sure what the...
It's true though, right? Like this idea that all of these amazing artists out there in the world and people who are super creative, and not all have ADHD, right? But oftentimes are sort of ridiculed at the beginning. And then now that's the coolest thing about them.
Who's laughing now?
When you think about this movement nowadays, you know, and now you're trying to be in a job or...
Oh, man. Okay, no. This is also the other thing.
Okay.
So the last full-time job I had was at the Boneyard in Arizona. The military sends planes to die and they stay there. So my job was I had to sit at my desk for 8 hours a day. Like I had to be there. I couldn't just do other things. I'm supposed to be at my desk ready to receive whatever my boss needed me to receive. And I didn't understand that. I struggled so hard because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't expected to do anything. I was expected to just sit there and wait. And what the what? No, I need something to do. Give me something to... And she had nothing for me to do. Like I would get everything done I needed to get done like the first day of the week. And then I'd have 4 days of I'm just waiting around, I guess. I'm just sitting. So I tried to come up with different projects. I became a government purchaser because I just needed another task. I became a diversity, equity, and inclusion instructor. You know, like I just put on all these extra things. And I still had so much time at the end of the week. And the only thing I could do was a puzzle because I had to find something to sit
some way to
do.
move, but do it. Yeah, it's so interesting. I think this with some of the kids I've worked with, it's like when they were like waiting in line, I would have them jump up and down. Because I was like, I need you to figure out vertical motion, not horizontal motion, because we have to stay here until whatever. And so I would literally just put my hand up like above their heads and try to have them jump up to touch my hand, you know, and I would go down the line and be like, okay, you jump, you know, however many of them I had at a time. And there's usually 3 or 4 in every class that really needed that. So yeah, trying to figure out motions that are socially sort of acceptable, I guess.
Because you can't bring your own computer to work on stuff. No, you have to work on, like you have to do whatever the government wants you to do.
Right.
And the government computers, you can't download stuff. They're always monitoring you. So you couldn't actually get other work done. But it was okay for me to do a puzzle.
Because you were there. Because that was the whole job requirement.
To be there.
So really figuring out what kinds of things can be helpful for you later in life with ADHD is looking at, can you move freely when you need to? Can you get up and go do something else? I wonder too if, you know, one of the strategies that you've had over the years has been to find things that could be at your desk or on your table. I remember you kind of saying, I think I need this on the dining room table for me. And you were trying to really figure out the best version of it. I'm not sure we actually figured out the 100% best version, but you have like a little bowl of peas, like dried peas, split peas that you had put in a bowl. And then we started to notice that like a bunch of people in our family liked this. It wasn't just you, but you would just literally just be like grasping at the peas and playing with them while we're talking.
Yeah.
What was that about? Is that similar to... Oh, I've lost you.
Casey, come. You little shit. Hey, come. Sit.
So for any of you guys watching right now, I have lost my sister completely. She is up getting the dog.
Well, she's just, it's like almost her time to eat. And she's like
32 minutes.
She's on a clock. I think when we changed time zones, she's like, this is Daisy. Say hello, Daisy.
Hi, Daisy. Daisy.
Hello, my name is Daisy.
She's so cute. So we were talking about like having things on the dinner table.
Go.
So we were talking about having things on the dinner table that you could have so that you could stay in the conversation.
Was it really like this? Did I move it? I think I did. Sorry. I got super distracted. Hold on.
Oh, okay. She's coming back to us, folks. She's coming back. She's zooming back in. Okay. Oh, look at her go.
I need to oil my chair.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the dining room table. Okay, I had made some sort of like a Halloween thing, and they're like, oh, you can make it look like a little Frankenstein if you get like a square glass, and then you put some split peas in there and you make a little face. And then I heard you say that Mom and Josh would play with it. And I thought, that's genius. That's what I need. I need some sort of split pea thing in my house. Mm-hmm. But then the problem I have is that they make noise. So I've found that societally acceptable, I need something that does not make noise.
So you need a bowl with stuff in it that doesn't make noise.
Right.
That you can play with.
Right.
Okay.
And so we've been trying different things. We've been trying different textures and things. And I found something that's like a fairly sound dampening, but like I'm still kind of working towards that. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing is that like you're sitting there with your hand and it can't be too high off the ground, off the table, so that your hand kind of just relax and then play with whatever it is. It's a whole thing.
I think it's interesting though, this idea of adult looking fidget things, because you don't want something ugly on your dining room table. But no. It's nice when it's been there, because we've had people like actually stay and talk longer and be engaged longer than they normally would have when we've had it on the table. I was surprised by who needed it. Like I didn't predict it particularly well. So I thought that was interesting too, that sometimes somebody's doing a really good job of masking needing that stimulation. But maybe that's why they're leaving earlier, is because they need to stand up and move. It's not because they don't want to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, because I think masking takes a lot of energy. And when you're asking someone who is hyperactive to sit still, they are masking their natural tendencies the entire time. Wow. And so I think that's also why, like, when we were growing up, talking during dinners was really hard for me, because I had to sit for so long and didn't know how to move. I would just move my legs up and down because it felt good. But then I would kick the island, and so then I get in trouble for that.
Making noise.
So I'm like, yeah, because I was making noise. If I could find something that was not making noise, then that would have been better. It's a tough one.
Well, and I think also not knowing why you were doing it, was something that was a little elusive. Because if you know why you're doing something, then maybe you can think of another solution that's better, right? Mm-hmm. But like if you don't even know what is going on, you just know that somebody, like, it seems so purposeful. Movement for most people seems purposeful. And for you, I don't mean it isn't purposeful, but it doesn't seem in your control always. Control's the wrong word. If I'm going to move my body, I'm like, oh, I'm moving it, and I'm making this kind of like decision to do it. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm done.
Yeah, I think I kind of wonder, because a lot of decisions for why I move, there's a reason for it. And if we go back to us talking about being on a computer, I think it was like our last episode, we were talking about energy and how you were saying if you are on the computer, like click, click, that's your speed. And my speed's like click, 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 click. My speed's like all over the place. Like, I wonder if I'm having the same thought processes that you guys are having. I'm just having them faster. And so it looks more chaotic. But like, I'm usually moving because my body hurts, or, something doesn't feel good and I need to work it out, or there's a reason usually for it. Or it just feels good. I think that's the other thing, is like sometimes just like I was tapping with this little thing on my leg and it just felt good. And now it's not feeling so good, so I'm not doing it as much. And so there's a part of it where there's definitely a reason. It's just I think my brain works super, super fast.
Interesting. So it is purposeful.
Yeah. And I think that it's purposeful to me. I could see that other people would not find purpose in what I'm doing.
Yeah, I had no idea. Most of the time, I don't know, right? But I mean, if somebody moves because they're in pain, I mean, that's normal for anybody to like, people need to move their body. We're supposed to be more in motion than we currently are, right? So
Yeah.
I think that makes complete sense. The part that is harder for me to kind of interpret and understand sometimes, I think, and I'm curious about, is like the tapping or the repetitive things that you're doing. That part doesn't like make as much sense just in my body. So that's why I'm curious about how it makes sense in yours.
I think it's the word that's coming to my mind is energy. And it is a way for it to get out of my body.
Going back to that lightning rod kind of idea.
Yeah, it's like a spring that needs to be sprung. I would say, why do you crack your knuckles, Michelle?
Yeah, because I have this sense that it would feel good.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't do it again and again and again. So that part is interesting. Like you get rewound more quickly, maybe.
Yeah, I think my brain just works fast. So
Interesting. So it's the same impulse I might have. It's just you're having it feeling that impulse more often, maybe.
Yeah, probably more rapidly.
Interesting.
Because I just keep going back to the fact that like we are on the computer differently.
Yeah.
And that we don't fundamentally use it the same way.
No, I'm like, again, sauntering through the park with it, and you're like on some kind of Autobahn, and I'm like, whoa.
And
yeah. Okay, that makes
to
sense.
say that that's not the same thing going on with movement.
Yeah.
You know, like my brain is just on a faster speed, and it's just that's what it's doing.
So interesting. So your strategies that you've used with this, though, because again, the socially acceptable part of it is something that unfortunately it is something that I don't know if you have to do, but you sort of get shamed into doing, if nothing else, right? Or
100%, yeah.
and it's hard to, like you said, like stay connected to people, and all the social conventions we have are for people to be much less mobile, right? Like we don't all take hikes together or something. You know,
yeah.
I mean, people do, but that's not like a daily ritual, right? You're going to have the daily rituals like sitting down to dinner usually.
Yeah.
So maybe if you do have kid with ADHD, like that idea of the evening constitutional, taking the walk, could be a really powerful tool.
It could if I remembered to do it.
Well, I mean, as like a group, it would be like part of although I don't know, maybe you'd have so much stimulation outside that it would be hard to pay attention to.
I mean, I don't know. If someone said like, hey, we're going to go do this, I've never tried it because I've never been able to maintain it for any length of time. But I think each person has their own set of strategies. For me, if I can play with something with my hands,
That
that's
works for
what
you.
helps for me. Like sometimes just even having a ring on my finger helps.
And just kind of spinning it or something.
Yeah. Or having my therapist gave me these magnets that you can like, you use the poles, like the polarity of it, and then you push against it. And so like that, it's supposed to be, it's a mindful technique where you can then feel this motion. You can feel the, whatever, you're the physicist.
The force against you. Yeah, like so you have
Yes.
them the opposite way so they don't want to connect. And they're
Right.
pushing against, you can feel that it feels like pressure or force, right?
Exactly. And so I can do that and be quiet. Now,
Oh.
I can do that and be quiet. My favorite thing to do though is to take those and just kind of like click them around and like just make, and even that can bother me sometimes after a while, but I enjoy just like hearing them, if the feeling of them clicking together,
Yeah.
that's actually more enjoyable for me. But if I have to be quiet, then I can do the other one. The problem is that as an ADHD person, I don't remember to bring any of this shit with me. So I have them, like literally, Michelle, you know I'm addicted to chapstick, right?
Yes, I do.
I have a chapstick in every purse of mine, in every pocket. I have a chapstick right here next to me in my office. I have a chapstick at the chair where I sit in the living room. I have one next to my bedside table. I have chapsticks everywhere because that's like the only way I'll remember things is if I have them in multiple places and they live there.
Really, when you think about it, on a project this size, what's another
true.
$3 chapstick? You know, it's like,
That's true.
it's really not a bad solution. Well, I think that's fascinating. And I'm very curious about our community and what kind of strategies they might use for this. I don't know if it's a problem of motion, but I think it can be difficult depending on what kind of jobs you have. If you're in school, this idea of being quiet along with it, it's a whole conundrum. So I'm really curious if other people have strategies they might be using.
Yeah,
And
like
I
going
just
to the
want-
library. Going to the library was the absolute worst thing. Like
Yeah.
I could never get any work done there.
I don't think they have those anymore. Just kidding.
Oh.
But there aren't books, so it's helpful. No, I know they use them for other things for sure besides the books. But I just want to thank you so much for taking time today, Megan, and really diving into this whole idea of motion. I know it's a little triggering sometimes, I think. So
Well, I would actually be really curious from the community if they heard if I sounded different today. Mm-hmm. Like if I sounded more all over the place, or because like we were talking specifically about motion, you were like asking me to move.
yes.
Because I feel like I don't remember anything that we just talked about. I'm like, wait, did we already just go through 40 minutes of talking?
We did. We did.
And then like a
did.
dog came in and like,
Yeah,
you know.
and you could not. Yeah, that was really hard for you, for sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate you being vulnerable and letting us do this experiment on you today. I didn't realize I was
You're
doing an
welcome.
experiment. I didn't realize I was doing an experiment, but I definitely did.
You're welcome.
Oh, I love you, Meg.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Sisters Sisters. This series has us focusing more specifically on ADHD and its symptoms. If you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoy laughing with each other, please share it with someone you think would benefit from this conversation. Make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to us on right now, and that way you'll get notified each week. Now, next week, we'll be talking about ADHD brains and how they like to blurt things out. We may have to get that bleeping Volkswagen sound effect ready. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious. Hold on. Daisy, come. Daisy, come. Come on, Buskies. What time is it? Oh, yeah, it's getting close to her dinner time.
3:00.
Well, 4.
Oh, okay.
She's like 4 o'clock. It's 4.
4.
It is
Mom.
3:45, and you better be. Are you ready at 4? Like that's what she's kind of doing right now. She's like, it's 3 o'clock. We're almost ready for food. Are you prepared for 4 o'clock? Because 4 o'clock, I want my food.
I like it that she's kind of like the attention deficit monitor. You know, she's like, I'm worried about you. I'm giving you warnings.
I'm prepping you for the fact that you're gonna need to attend to me
You're gonna
in
need to
about
attend.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I will make your life hell.